The rain hit like gravel thrown by an angry god. November in our corner of suburban America doesn't mess around. When winter decides to announce itself, it does so with storms that strip the last leaves off the oaks and turn every street into a river of mud and regret. I stood on my son's porch, water streaming down my collar, soaking through my work jacket. The porch light was on. I could see shadows moving behind the curtains. I could hear laughter. My laughter wasn't among them. 10 minutes ago, I'd been inside. My son's 32nd birthday party. Small gathering, he'd said. Just family. I'd driven over with Linda, my wife, carrying a gift we'd wrapped together that morning. A nice watch. Something he'd mentioned wanting months back when we'd had one of our increasingly rare conversations that didn't feel like a business transaction. "Dad, hey, could you grab something from the truck?" That's what he'd said. Casual. Normal. So I'd gone out, into this mess of a storm. When I came back, the door was locked. I knocked. Polite at first. Then harder. Nothing. I tried the handle again. Definitely locked. I could see them through the window. My son, his wife, her parents. All of them gathered around the dining table, glasses raised. They were toasting something. Someone said something funny. Everyone laughed. I knocked again. Harder this time. My son's father-in-law glanced toward the door. Our eyes met through the glass for just a second. He looked away, said something to the others. More laughter. I wasn't imagining it. I know what being ignored looks like. "Hey!" I pounded on the door. "It's freezing out here." The wind picked up, driving the rain sideways. My jacket was already useless. Water ran down my back in cold streams. My boots were filling up. I tried calling my son's phone. It rang. I could hear it ringing inside. He pulled it out, looked at the screen, and put it back in his pocket. Linda appeared at the window. Her face went white when she saw me. She moved toward the door, but my son's wife intercepted her, touched her arm, shook her head, said something I couldn't hear. Linda's expression changed from concern to something colder, sharper. She nodded once and stepped back from the door. That's when I knew this wasn't an accident. I'm 53 years old. I've worked construction since I was 19. I've built houses, schools, commercial buildings. I've worked through heat waves and ice storms. I've fallen off ladders, been hit by falling lumber, broken 3 ribs and a collarbone over the years. I know pain. I know discomfort. But standing there, locked out of my son's house while he celebrated with people who'd never once invited me and Linda to their mansion on the hill, that was a different kind of hurt. The kind that settles in your chest and spreads like frost. I should have walked away. Should have gone back to my truck, called Linda later, driven home, and let it go. That's what the old me would have done. The me who still believed family meant something. But I didn't move. I stood there in the rain, watching them through the window, and something in me started to change. Not all at once, not dramatically. Just a slow, cold awareness settling into place. My son looked happy, relaxed. He was laughing at something his father-in-law said, nodding along like they were old friends sharing an inside joke. His wife squeezed his hand. Her mother beamed at them both like they'd just announced a pregnancy. They looked like a family, and I wasn't in it. The headlights hit me first, bright and sudden, cutting through the rain. I turned, squinting, and saw a car pulling up to the curb. Not just any car, an Audi. Black. Sleek. The kind of vehicle that costs more than I make in 2 years. It stopped right in front of the house. The engine purred like a content cat. The driver's side window rolled down smoothly, and a man leaned toward the opening. "You look like you could use some help," he said. His voice was calm, controlled, the kind of voice that belongs to someone who's never had to raise it to be heard. I couldn't see his face clearly through the rain and darkness, just the outline of someone wearing an expensive coat. "I'm fine," I said. The automatic response, the polite lie. "You're soaked through and locked out of a house where people are celebrating without you." the man said. That doesn't look fine to me. I stared at him. He stared back. The rain drummed on the roof of his Audi. Who are you? I asked. Someone who knows what's happening here better than you do, he said. Get in the car. I don't know you. No, you don't. But I know them. He gestured toward the house. And I know what they're saying about you in there right now. Trust me. You want to hear it. Something in his tone made me hesitate. Not fear, just certainty. Like he was stating a fact, not making a threat. I glanced back at the house, still locked, still laughing, still celebrating without me. Why would you help me? I asked. Because I owed someone a debt, he said. And because what's happening to you is wrong. Now get in before you catch pneumonia. I should have walked away, should have ignored him, should have done 100 things that made more sense than climbing into a stranger's car in the middle of a storm. But I was cold, I was angry, and I was tired of being the good guy who always got stepped on. So I walked to the passenger side, opened the door, and got in. The interior was warm. Leather seats, classical music playing softly from speakers I couldn't see. The man looked at me as I shut the door. He was maybe 45, clean-shaven, dark hair going gray at the temples, well-dressed, the kind of person who'd never worked a day of manual labor in his life. Dry yourself off, he said, handing me a towel from the back seat. There's coffee in the thermos if you want it. I took the towel but ignored the coffee. Who are you? Call me Bennett, he said. And before you ask, no, that's not my real name, but it's what you can call me. Why are you here, Bennett? He smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. To tell you the truth about your son. And his in-laws. And what they've been planning. Planning? They've been talking about you, Bennett said, pulling away from the curb smoothly. Not kindly, not respectfully. They've been discussing how to cut you out of their lives permanently, how to make sure you never embarrass them again, how to erase you from the family story they're building. The words hit like punches. You're lying. Am I? He glanced at me. Your son told his father-in-law last week that you're a Stone Age handyman who embarrasses them at social events. His mother-in-law said your wife married down and should have done better. They've been joking about how your old truck ruins their family photos. They want you gone. How do you know this? Because I make it my business to know things, Bennett said. And because your son's in-laws are the kind of people I've studied for a long time. Rich, entitled, convinced that wealth equals worth. They've been poisoning your son against you for years. And it worked. I wanted to argue, wanted to call him a liar and demand he let me out. But something in his voice rang true. Something in the way my son had looked at me lately. The distance, the polite but cold conversations, the sense that I was being tolerated rather than loved. Why tell me this? I asked. Because I knew your brother, Bennett said quietly. I know. I owed him a favor. He helped me once when I needed it. He was a good man. He wouldn't want you to be treated like this. So you're doing this out of the goodness of your heart? No, Bennett said. I'm doing this because I hate people like your son's in-laws, and because sometimes the universe needs a little balancing. We drove in silence for a while. The rain pounded the windshield. The wipers swept back and forth in a steady rhythm. Where are we going? I asked finally. Somewhere we can talk, Bennett said. Somewhere private. And somewhere you can hear exactly what they've been saying about you when you're not around. You recorded them? I didn't have to, he said. They're not careful. They think they're untouchable. People like that always get sloppy. He took a turn onto a side road I didn't recognize. The streetlights grew sparser. The houses gave way to empty lots and shuttered businesses. Your son plans to tell you next month that you're not welcome at future family gatherings, Bennett said conversationally, like he was discussing the weather. His wife's parents suggested it. They want their daughter's family to reflect a certain image. You don't fit that image. Neither does your wife, but they'll tolerate her because she's quieter. easier to ignore. You're making this up. Am I? Think about the last time your son invited you to something without being prompted. Think about how his wife looks at you. Think about how her parents have never, not once, asked about your work or your life. You're furniture to them. Worse, you're a stain they're trying to scrub out. I thought about it, and I hated that he was right. Every invitation recently had come after Linda pushed for it. Every conversation with my son felt rehearsed, like he was going through motions. Every interaction with his in-laws had been them looking through me like I was glass. Why should I believe you? I asked. But my voice lacked conviction. Because deep down you already know it's true, Bennett said. You've known for a while. You just didn't want to admit it. But tonight they showed you. They locked you out in a storm. They laughed while you froze. They made a choice. And that choice was not you. We pulled into a parking lot. An old commercial building loomed ahead, dark except for a few security lights. The sign said it used to be a trucking depot. Now it looked abandoned. Bennett parked and turned off the engine. Come on. There's someone inside you need to meet. Who? Someone who can help you understand just how deep this goes. I followed him to a side door. He unlocked it with a key I didn't question. Inside, the building was cold but dry. Dusty. The kind of place where sound echoes too much. We walked down a corridor to an office. Bennett flicked on a light. The room was bare except for a table, 2 chairs, and a laptop. Sit, he said. I sat. Bennett opened the laptop and turned it toward me. Watch. The screen showed a video. Security footage from what looked like a restaurant. My son and his in-laws at a table. The audio was clear. The old man's insufferable, my son's father-in-law was saying. Every time we have to see him, it's like babysitting a child. He doesn't understand basic social cues. My son laughed. Actually laughed. He means well. Meaning well isn't enough, my son's wife said. Your mother's fine. She's quiet. But your father, I can't bring him around my friends. He shows up in work boots and tells construction stories. It's mortifying. When we have kids, her mother added, I don't want him around unsupervised. He's too rough, too old-fashioned. Can you imagine him trying to relate to a modern child? My son nodded. I've been thinking about that. Maybe we set some boundaries. Holidays only. Supervised visits. Nothing too involved. Smart, his father-in-law said, and eventually, when he's really old, nursing homes exist for a reason. They all laughed. Bennett closed the laptop. That was recorded 3 weeks ago. There's more, hours more. But I think you get the idea. I couldn't speak. My throat had closed. My hands were shaking. They're planning to cut you out, Bennett said softly. Slowly, methodically. They've already started. Tonight was just another step. Lock you out. Make you feel small. Condition you to accept less and less until you're nothing to them. I should leave, I managed. Go home. Forget this. You could, Bennett agreed. Or you could do something about it. What could I possibly do? Bennett smiled. That cold, controlled smile. More than you think. Much more. He reached into his coat and pulled out a folded paper. This is an address. Be there tomorrow night at 8. Come alone. Don't tell your wife yet. Just come, and I'll show you exactly how deep their betrayal goes, and how we can make them pay for it. Pay for it how? Not illegally, Bennett said. Not violently, but definitively. They want to erase you from their lives? Fine. We'll erase them from yours, and we'll make sure they lose everything they value in the process. Their reputation, their social standing, their perfect little family image, all of it. He stood and walked to the door. Come tomorrow, or don't. But if you do, be ready to stop being the victim. Be ready to become something else. What? Bennett paused at the doorway. The man they should have feared from the beginning. He left me there in that cold office with a laptop full of videos I didn't want to see and an address in my hand I couldn't ignore. Outside, the storm raged on. Inside, something in me began to rage too. While you're here, hit the hype button. Don't forget to subscribe and support this channel with a like. And tell us below, have you ever faced something like this? I didn't go home that night. Not right away. Instead, I drove around for 2 hours, the truck's heater blasting but doing nothing to warm the ice that had settled into my chest. The address Bennett gave me was memorized before I even realized I was doing it. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white. The rain had eased to a drizzle by the time I finally pulled into our driveway. The house was dark except for the living room lamp Linda always left on for me. The porch light, too. Little acts of consideration I'd taken for granted for 30 years. I sat in the truck for 10 minutes, staring at that warm light, wondering how to tell her what I'd learned, wondering if I should tell her at all. Finally, I went inside. Linda was waiting in the living room, curled up on the couch with a book she wasn't reading. She looked up when I walked in, and her face went through several expressions at once. Relief, anger, something harder to name. "You left," she said. "Someone offered me a ride." "Who?" "A stranger." She stood up. "You got into a car with a stranger. Are you insane?" "Probably." Linda crossed her arms. "What happened? And don't lie to me. I saw what they did. I saw them lock you out. I tried to open the door." "I know. I saw. His wife stopped me. Said it was an accident. Said you'd come back in when you were ready. She said it like you were a dog they were training." "That's about right. I should have pushed past her. Should have opened the door myself. But everyone was staring at me and I just..." She stopped. "I'm sorry, I should have done more. It's not your fault." "Then whose fault is it?" I didn't answer. Couldn't answer. Because the truth was complicated and ugly and I didn't have the words yet. Linda studied me. She's always been able to read me better than I can read myself. "What happened after you left?" So I told her, not everything. Not about Bennett or the address or the videos. But enough. I told her about the car, the conversation, the things Bennett said our son had been saying about us. Linda's face didn't change as I talked. She just stood there, perfectly still, absorbing every word like she'd been expecting them. When I finished, she said quietly, "I already knew." "What?" "Not the specifics. But I knew something was wrong. He's been different the last 2 years. Distant, cold, like he's tolerating us instead of loving us. I thought maybe it was stress, the new job, the marriage, adjusting to life with wealthy in-laws. I made excuses." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I didn't want to believe it," Linda said. "And because I knew if I said it out loud, it would make it real. And once it was real, we'd have to deal with it." She sat back down on the couch, suddenly looking exhausted. "What did this stranger want? Why tell you all this?" "He said he owed my brother a debt." Linda's eyes sharpened. "Your brother?" "That's what he said." "Your brother never mentioned anyone like that." "I know." "So he's lying." "Maybe. Or maybe there are things about my brother I didn't know." Linda was quiet for a moment. Then she asked the question I'd been dreading. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know yet." "That's not true. You know. I can see it in your face. You're going to meet this man again. He gave me an address, tomorrow night." "Don't go." "Why not?" "Because this is how people get hurt. This is how situations spiral. We should talk to our son, have a real conversation, clear the air." "They locked me out in a storm, Linda. They laughed while I froze. That's not a misunderstanding, that's a choice." "So what? You're going to get revenge? That's not you." "Maybe it should be." The words hung between us. Linda stared at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. Maybe I'd been a stranger to myself for years, playing the role of the good father, the understanding dad, the man who swallowed every insult and accepted every slight because that's what you did for family. "I'm going." I said finally. Tomorrow night. I'm going to hear what this man has to say. And then I'll decide what comes next. Linda didn't argue. She just nodded slowly. If you're doing this, I'm coming with you. No. Yes. You're not going alone to meet some mysterious stranger who knows too much about our family. If you're walking into something, I'm walking with you. Linda. Don't. She cut me off. 30 years of marriage, 30 years of being a team. You don't get to shut me out now, not for this, not when our son has already done it. She was right. Of course she was right. Tomorrow night, I said. Together. Together. The next day crawled by like a wounded animal. I tried to work, tried to focus on the job site, the measurements, the crew waiting for instructions. But my mind kept drifting to the videos on Bennett's laptop, to my son's laugh when they joked about putting me in a nursing home. By 6 o'clock, I'd given up pretending to be useful. I told the crew to pack it in early and drove home to Linda. She was ready, dressed in dark jeans and a jacket, hair pulled back. She looked like she was preparing for war. Let's go, she said. The address led us out of town, past the suburbs, into an area I didn't recognize. Industrial parks, warehouses, empty lots waiting for development that never came. The kind of place where businesses went to die quietly. We pulled up to an old trucking depot, the same one Bennett had taken me to the night before. The building looked even more ominous in the fading daylight. Linda glanced at me. You sure about this? She asked. No. Good. At least you're honest. We got out of the truck and walked to the side door. It opened before I could knock. Bennett stood there, looking exactly as he had the night before. Calm, controlled, dangerous in a way that had nothing to do with muscles or weapons. You brought your wife, he observed. He doesn't go anywhere without me, Linda said. Not for this. Bennett studied her for a moment, then nodded. Smart. Come in. We followed him through the same corridor to the same office, but this time there was someone else there. A woman, mid-30s, laptop open in front of her, wearing glasses and an expression that said she'd seen too much of the world's ugly side. This is Rachel, Bennett said. She's a private investigator. She's been watching your son's in-laws for 3 months. Why? I asked. Because they're not just wealthy snobs, Rachel said, without looking up from her screen. They're predators. They find people like your son, people with ambition, but no real money, and they absorb them, change them, mold them into extensions of their family. It's psychological warfare disguised as love. That's insane, Linda said. Is it? Rachel finally looked up. Your son didn't used to talk about you the way he does now, did he? He used to respect you, care about your opinion. But slowly over the last 2 years that changed, right around the time he married into that family. Linda didn't answer. She didn't have to. Rachel turned the laptop toward us. Watch. More videos, more conversations. But these were worse. My son telling his wife he was embarrassed to introduce me to his new boss. His mother-in-law laughing about my clothes at a supermarket, filming it for their private group chat. His father-in-law suggesting they create a trust fund for future grandchildren that specifically excluded Linda and me from any decision-making role. They're trying to erase you, Bennett said quietly. Not quickly, not obviously, but methodically, year by year, event by event, until you're nothing but an uncomfortable memory they can laugh about at cocktail parties. Why? Linda's voice cracked. What did we do to them? You existed, Rachel said bluntly. You represent everything they despise, working class, self-made, unpretentious. To them, you're proof that their daughter married someone with inferior breeding. They're trying to fix that mistake by remaking your son in their image. And it's working. We should call him, Linda said. Confront him, show him these videos, make him see what they're doing. You could, Bennett agreed. But do you think he'd believe you? Or would he believe them when they say you're jealous, paranoid, trying to sabotage his happiness? Linda didn't answer. They've been planning something else too, Rachel said. She pulled up another file. 3 weeks from now, they're hosting a family retreat at their lakeside villa. Exclusive, expensive. Your son will be there, his wife, their close circle, but you're not invited. They're using it as a bonding opportunity, a way to solidify your son's loyalty to them. By the time it's over, you'll be cut out completely. So what do we do? I heard myself ask. Bennett smiled. We attend, uninvited. That's trespassing. Only if you get caught. This is insane, Linda said again. Yes, Bennett agreed, but so is letting them win. So is rolling over and accepting that your son has been stolen from you. You can walk away right now, go home. Live with the knowledge that you're being erased from your own family. Or you can fight back. How? I asked. By beating them at their own game, Rachel said. They want to destroy your reputation, we destroy theirs. They want to isolate your son, we expose their manipulation so publicly, so thoroughly, that he has no choice but to see the truth. They want to win? We make sure they lose everything that matters to them: social standing, reputation, control. We're not criminals, Linda said. We're not going to hurt anyone. We're not asking you to, Bennett said. Everything we do will be legal. Technically, we'll expose their lies, reveal their manipulations, force them to face consequences for their actions. But we won't break any laws. We won't hurt anyone physically. We'll just make sure the truth comes out in the most devastating way possible. He leaned forward. They wanted to play games with your family? Fine. Let's play. But let's play to win. I looked at Linda. She looked back at me. I saw the same thing in her eyes that I felt in my chest. Not just anger anymore. Something colder, more focused. Resolve. What do we need to do? I asked. Bennett's smile widened. First, we need to train you, physically, mentally. These people have security. They have resources. You need to be ready. Rachel and I will handle the technical side, but you need to be able to move when it matters. Act when it counts. Can you do that? I thought about 30 years of construction work, of climbing scaffolding in ice storms, of hauling materials up ladders, of working through pain and exhaustion because the job needed to be done. Yes, I said. I can do that. Good. We start tomorrow, 5 a.m. Bring comfortable clothes and a willingness to hurt. Wait, Linda said. What about me? Bennett turned to her. You're the strategic mind. Rachel will work with you. You'll help us map out their social network, find their weak points, figure out who really matters to them and why. You'll be the knife. Your husband will be the hammer. And you? Linda asked. I'm the person who makes sure all the pieces fall into place at the right time, Bennett said. I'm the one who's been planning this for longer than you know, because your son's in-laws aren't the first people like this I've dealt with, and they won't be the last. Who are you really? I asked. Bennett's expression didn't change. Someone who got tired of watching good people get crushed by bad ones. Someone who decided to do something about it. That's all you need to know. We left the depot an hour later with instructions, schedules, and a plan that seemed impossible until Rachel broke it down step by step. Then it just seemed difficult. In the truck, Linda was quiet until we hit the highway. We're really doing this, she said. Not a question. Yes. It's insane. Yes. But it feels right. Yes. She reached over and took my hand. Then let's make them regret every word they said about us, every laugh, every cruel joke. Let's make them remember that they shouldn't have underestimated us. We will, I said, and for the first time since that storm, I smiled. Spring came slowly that year. Snow melted into rain, melted into sunshine. The house felt more like home with each passing week. Linda planted flowers in the front yard. I fixed the deck. We settled in. My son came by regularly, sometimes alone, sometimes with his wife. They never stayed long, just checking in, making sure we were okay, building the habit of connection again. One Saturday in April, he showed up unannounced. "I need to tell you something," he said. Linda and I exchanged glances. Here it comes, I thought, the other shoe dropping. "We're pregnant." The world stopped. "What?" Linda whispered. "Found out yesterday. It's early, really early, but we wanted you to know. You'll be grandparents." Linda burst into tears, happy ones this time. She hugged him so hard he actually complained. I just stood there, processing. A grandchild. A continuation of the family line. Another chance to get things right. "Congratulations," I said finally. That's incredible." "We want you involved," my son said. "Both of you. As much as you want to be. No restrictions, no supervised visits, full grandparents. If you want that." "If we want that?" Linda laughed through tears. "Of course we want that. I know I said some terrible things before, about not wanting you around future kids, about you being too rough, too old-fashioned. I didn't mean any of it. I was being cruel because they taught me to be cruel. But that's over now. This child will know you, will love you, will learn from you, I promise." I pulled him into a hug. "Thank you. Don't thank me, just be there. That's all I need." Over the next few months, we watched my daughter-in-law's belly grow. We attended doctor appointments, helped set up the nursery, read parenting books, and argued about what actually mattered. It felt normal, better than normal. It felt like the family we should have been all along. 8 months later, on a cold November night, exactly 1 year after the storm, my grandson was born. They named him after my brother. Linda cried when they told us. So did I. It felt like closure, like my brother's memory was being honored, like something good had come from all the pain. We met him in the hospital, tiny, wrinkled, perfect. He grabbed my finger with surprising strength, and I fell in love instantly. "He's got your grip," my son said. "Strong, like he's ready to build things." Maybe he will. If he does, I hope you'll teach him. Show him how to work with his hands. Give him what you gave me before I forgot to appreciate it. I'd like that. We stood there, 4 adults watching one tiny human sleep, and it felt like everything had led to this moment. The storm, the betrayal, the revenge, the reconciliation, all of it necessary to get here. "I love you, Dad," my son said quietly. "I love you too." And for the first time in years, I meant it without reservation. Months became years. My grandson grew, walked, talked, learned to say grandpa in a way that melted my heart every time. I taught him about tools, about building, about how to measure twice and cut once. He listened with the kind of attention I'd forgotten kids could have. My son and I rebuilt our relationship piece by piece. It wasn't perfect. Sometimes old hurts resurfaced. Sometimes we argued. But we worked through it. We didn't run anymore. Linda and my daughter-in-law became close. They'd meet for coffee, share stories, support each other in ways that felt natural, like the family bonds that should have existed all along. The Whitmores? They disappeared. Victor's company went bankrupt. Eleanor moved to Florida. Their social circle completely abandoned them. Last I heard, they were living in a modest condo, their fortune depleted by legal fees and bad investments. Karma, Linda called it. I called it justice. Bennett stayed in touch occasionally, brief messages. "Hope you're well. Saw your grandson's photo. He looks happy." Never anything more. He'd become a ghost, helping other families the way he'd helped ours. Rachel sent a message once. "Glad it worked out. Not all my cases end this way. Cherish it." I did. Every day. My construction business did well, better than expected. Word got around somehow. The guy who'd stood up to the Whitmores. People respected that, hired me for jobs, trusted me. Business grew until I had to hire more crew. My son started his own business too. Consulting, but honest consulting. Helping small companies grow without selling their souls. He was good at it, natural, and he did it his way, not the Whitmore way. Life moved forward. Holidays, birthdays, normal family moments that felt miraculous after everything we'd been through. But I never forgot that night in the storm, how it felt to stand outside while my son locked me out, how the rage built inside me until it became something else, something darker, something that demanded action. Sometimes Linda asked if I regretted it, the revenge, the public humiliation, the destruction of the Whitmores. I never regretted it. They'd tried to erase us, to make us feel worthless, to steal our son and remake him into someone who'd be ashamed of where he came from. We'd fought back, and we'd won. Not just by destroying them, though that helped, but by refusing to accept their version of reality, by insisting that we mattered, that our love mattered. That family meant more than money or status or social climbing. We'd reclaimed our son, and ourselves. That was the real victory. 3 years after the storm, we got an unexpected call. Rachel. I hadn't heard from her since the beginning. "I need to meet with you," she said. "Both of you. It's important." We met at a coffee shop downtown. Rachel looked older, tired, like she'd seen too much. "I'm wrapping up my investigation business," she said. "Moving into teaching, training others to do what I do, but before I close shop, I wanted to give you something." She slid a folder across the table. "What is this?" Linda asked. "The complete file on the Whitmores. Everything I found, everything Bennett used. I'm giving it to you because you should have it, because you deserve to know the full extent of what they tried to do." I opened the folder. Page after page of documentation, emails, text messages, photos, plans they'd made to systematically isolate us from our son's life, to turn him against us so completely that we'd become nothing but embarrassing memories. It was worse than I'd imagined, more calculated, more cruel. "They studied you," Rachel explained, "your schedules, your habits, your vulnerabilities. They treated it like a military operation. Every interaction was planned, every insult was strategic. They were going to erase you from your grandchild's life completely, make sure the child never even knew you existed." "Why show us this now?" Linda asked. "Because you need to understand that what you did wasn't overreacting. It wasn't revenge for revenge's sake. It was self-defense. They were destroying your family. You stopped them. That's not something to feel guilty about." She was right. I'd carried some guilt. Wondered if we'd gone too far, if we'd become just as bad as them. But seeing the full scope of their plans, that guilt evaporated. "Thank you," I said. "Don't thank me. Just promise me something. If you see other families going through this, other parents being systematically erased, you'll help them. Share your story. Show them that fighting back is possible." "We will." Rachel left. We sat there with the folder for a long time. Finally, Linda said, "Should we show this to our son?" "No. He's moved past it. We have too, mostly. This would just reopen wounds. Then what do we do with it?" "We keep it, as a reminder of how bad things got and how far we've come." We took the folder home and locked it in a safe. I've never opened it again. Don't need to. The memories are clear enough without documentation. That night, my son came over for dinner with my grandson. We ate Linda's famous pot roast. My grandson told us about preschool, about his friends, about the block tower he'd built that was this tall, Grandpa, really. After dinner, I took him out to the garage workshop I'd built, showed him how to use a hammer properly. He was 3, but he paid attention like a scholar. "Grandpa?" he said. "Yeah, buddy." "Daddy says you're the best builder in the whole world." "Your daddy's biased." "What's biased?" "It means he loves me so much he can't see straight." My grandson thought about that. I'm biased about you too, then. I hugged him. I'm biased about you too, kid. So biased. My son appeared in the doorway. Teaching him your trade secrets? Just the basics. He's got natural talent. He gets it from you. We looked at each other. No words needed. The understanding passed between us like electricity. We'd made it. Through everything. Through the storm and the betrayal and the revenge and the reconciliation. We'd made it to the other side. Together. Not unscathed. Not without scars. But together. And that was enough. 5 years after that night in the storm, I was working on a house renovation when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. But something made me answer. Is this Robert? A woman's voice, unfamiliar. Yeah, who's this? My name is Margaret. I got your number from Rachel. She said you might be able to help me. I set down my hammer. Help with what? My daughter married into a wealthy family 2 years ago. They've been changing her, turning her against us. I tried to talk to Rachel, but she retired. She said you went through something similar, that you fought back. I don't know what to do. I can't lose my daughter. I closed my eyes. Of course Rachel would send people my way. Of course this wouldn't end with just us. Tell me everything, I said. Margaret did. And as she talked, I heard echoes of our own story. The subtle manipulations, the social pressure, the systematic isolation, different details but the same pattern, the same predatory behavior. What should I do? She asked when she finished. First, you need to understand that your daughter's still in there. She hasn't been erased. She's been buried under layers of conditioning and pressure. Your job is to excavate her gently. How? By being present. By refusing to go away even when they try to push you out, by documenting everything, and by being ready to act when the right moment comes. Did you have to do something extreme? We exposed them publicly, made sure everyone knew what they really were. It worked for us. Might not work for you. Every situation is different. Will you help me? Please? I should have said no. Should have told her to hire a different investigator. Should have stayed out of it. But I couldn't. Yes, I said. I'll help. That night, I told Linda about the call. She listened carefully. So, we're doing this now? She asked. Helping other families? If we can. Yeah. You realize this is exactly what Bennett did, what Rachel did. We're becoming them. Maybe that's not a bad thing. She smiled. No, I suppose it's not. Over the next few months, I worked with Margaret, teaching her what we'd learned, how to spot the manipulation patterns, how to gather evidence, how to plan a confrontation that couldn't be ignored. Linda helped, too, using her strategic mind to map out the family dynamics. It worked. Not immediately, not easily, but it worked. Margaret's daughter woke up, saw what was happening, left the toxic family behind, reconciled with her mother, another family saved. Word spread, more calls came, more families being torn apart by wealthy, manipulative in-laws who treated people like possessions to be acquired and modified. Linda and I became unlikely consultants. We didn't charge money, didn't want recognition, just helped when we could. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it didn't. But we tried. My son found out what we were doing. He was proud. You're turning your trauma into something meaningful, he said. That takes strength. Or stubbornness. Same thing in your case. My grandson, now 7, asked me once why I spent so much time on the phone with strangers. I'm helping people, I said. Helping with what? Helping them fight back against bullies. Like superheroes? I laughed. Not quite, but maybe a little. He considered that seriously. When I grow up, I want to help people fight bullies too. Then I'll teach you how. Promise? Promise. Years continued to pass. My construction business thrived. My son's consulting firm grew. My grandson started 3rd grade, then 5th, then middle school. He learned carpentry in my workshop, learned strategy from Linda, learned empathy from his parents. He grew up knowing our full story: the storm, the betrayal, the revenge, the reconciliation. We didn't hide it from him, didn't sanitize it. He needed to understand that families were complicated, that people could hurt you and still deserve second chances, that fighting back against injustice wasn't wrong. He absorbed it all with the wisdom kids sometimes have that adults lose. The Whitmores faded into complete obscurity. I heard rumors occasionally. Victor worked as a consultant for a small firm. Eleanor gave piano lessons. They'd lost everything that mattered to them: status, respect, social position. They lived quiet, diminished lives. I felt nothing when I heard these updates. No satisfaction, no pity, just indifference. They were part of the past, irrelevant to my present. My son never spoke to them again. Neither did his wife. That bridge was burned completely, and nobody mourned its loss. Bennett called one more time, years after everything. "I heard you're continuing the work." "Someone has to." "I'm proud of you, both of you. You took your pain and made it purposeful. That's rare. You taught us how. I showed you the tools. You did the actual work. There's a difference. Where are you now?" "Somewhere new. Helping another family. It never ends. There's always another predator, another family being torn apart. But knowing people like you are out there too, that helps. Stay safe, Bennett. You too." That was the last time we spoke. On the 6th anniversary of that storm, Linda and I drove to my son's old house, the one where I'd been locked out. New people lived there now. Young couple. They'd painted it different colors, changed the landscaping, made it theirs. We sat in the truck, looking at it. "You okay?" Linda asked. "Yeah, just remembering." "Good memories or bad?" "Both. Mostly good now. That night was terrible. But it led to everything after, to fixing things with our son, to meeting Bennett and Rachel, to helping other families. Would I change it if I could?" I thought about it, really thought about it. "No," I said finally. "I wouldn't, because the person who stood in that storm, freezing and hurt and angry, he needed to wake up, needed to stop being passive, needed to fight. And he did. We did. And everything that came after was worth it." Linda took my hand. "We make a good team. The best." We drove away from that house one last time, headed home to our own house, the one our son had given us, the one filled with years of memories now, good ones, real ones. My grandson was there when we arrived, working on a birdhouse in the garage. He looked up and grinned. "Grandpa, come look. I did the angles just like you taught me." I walked over and examined his work. It was good, really good. Precise cuts, clean joints, the kind of craftsmanship that showed patience and care. "Perfect," I said. "Really?" "Really," he beamed. "I want to build something bigger next. Maybe a doghouse? Can we get a dog?" "You'll have to ask your parents. They'll say yes if you ask too." "Manipulating me already?" "Learning from the best." I ruffled his hair. Smart kid. We worked together for the next hour. Just grandfather and grandson, building something with our hands, talking about nothing and everything, the simple joy of creation, of making something that didn't exist before. This was what it was all about. Not the revenge, not the confrontation, not even the reconciliation. These moments, these connections. Family, real family. Not the fake version the Whitmores tried to create. Not the conditional love they offered, but the messy, complicated, unconditional bond that survived betrayal and came out stronger. That night, the whole family came over. My son, his wife, my grandson. We grilled burgers in the backyard, watched the sun set over the lake, laughed about stupid jokes and told old stories. At one point, My son pulled me aside. "I never properly thanked you," he said. "For what?" "For not giving up, for fighting to get me back. A lot of parents would have walked away, written me off as a lost cause. You didn't. You fought, and you saved me. We saved each other. Maybe, but I know who I owe, and I'm grateful, every single day. Then pay it forward. Raise your son to be better than we were. Teach him to be strong but kind, independent but connected. Help him avoid our mistakes. I will. That's all I ask." As the evening wound down and our family prepared to leave, my grandson ran up and hugged me tight. "Love you, Grandpa." "Love you too, buddy. When I grow up, I want to be exactly like you." "Aim higher, kid. Be better than me." "That's impossible." I smiled. Then I guess I did something right. They left. Linda and I cleaned up the yard, put away chairs, swept the deck. Comfortable silence between us. "Happy?" she asked. "Yeah." "You?" "Yeah." We went inside. Our house. Our home. Built not just with wood and nails, but with determination and love and the refusal to accept defeat. I thought about that man in the storm, the one who'd stopped in his Audi and offered a simple choice. Accept your fate or fight back. I'd fought back, we'd fought back, and we'd won. Not perfectly, not without cost, but completely. The Whitmores were destroyed. Our son was back. Our family was whole. Justice had been served, not through courts or lawyers, but through truth, through exposure, through refusing to let cruelty go unanswered. Sometimes the good guys win. Sometimes standing up to bullies actually works. Sometimes revenge and justice are the same thing. This was one of those times, and I'd never apologize for it. Outside, another storm was building. Thunder in the distance, rain starting to fall, but inside we were warm, safe, together. I went to the window and watched the storm approach. No fear this time, no anger, just acceptance. Let it rain, let it storm, let it rage. We'd survived worse, and we'd survive this too, because we were family, real family, the kind that doesn't break, the kind that bends but never snaps, the kind that fights back when threatened and emerges stronger. The storm hit with full force. Lightning split the sky. Thunder shook the house. Rain hammered the roof like angry fists. I smiled. Let it rage. We were ready. We were always ready. And we would never be locked out in the cold again. Not by anyone. Not ever. The man in the storm had been right about one thing. They would be destroyed. And they were.